My neighbor's son arrived at my doorstep all by himself. The unfolding events will leave you astonished. On that tranquil Sunday afternoon, the sunlight filtered through the curtains perfectly, casting a serene glow, while the world beyond seemed to linger in a gentle, almost dreamlike stillness. Having just completed the task of watering the plants on the windowsill, those resilient survivors of my years of neglect, I paused to reflect. The house lay in silence, the soft hum of the refrigerator serving as the sole companion to the sporadic creak of the aged floorboards beneath my bare feet. As I nestled into my beloved reading chair, slightly worn at the edges yet perfectly molded by countless hours of comfort, a sudden knock at the door interrupted the tranquility. A gentle, tentative knock, lacking in volume yet rich in uncertainty. Surprised by the unexpected visitor, I figured it must be a neighbor, perhaps a delivery requiring my signature. As I swung the door open, there stood Michael, the son of my neighbor. He stood there, clad in a worn hoodie and jeans, a touch restless, clutching a notebook beneath his arm. Our encounters had been few and far between since his return from college for the summer. He possessed a quiet politeness, the sort of boy who averted his gaze and uttered "ma'am," even in defiance of your request to refrain. "Hello, Mrs. Parker," he said, his shy brown eyes flickering up to meet mine. A smile graced my lips. "Karen, now that you've turned 20, perhaps it's time to let go of the missus." A faint smile tugged at his lips, and he gave a subtle nod. "Indeed, Karen. Excuse me, I was hoping to seek your assistance with a matter." I moved aside, gesturing for him to enter. The aroma of coffee and lavender wafted gently through the air from the "Everything okay?" He paused at the entrance, then crossed the threshold and surveyed the surroundings as if he were stepping into a gallery of wonders. "Indeed, I hesitated to trouble my mother. She is currently engaged in her work, and it brought to mind your past as an educator." I guided him into the kitchen, where I filled a glass with chilled iced tea, and then took a seat across from him at the table. He placed his notebook on the table, his fingers drumming anxiously against the cover. "I am enrolled in a summer writing course focused on English composition, where I am tasked with crafting a personal essay centered around a topic of significance. Yet, I find myself at a loss for where to begin. I find myself in a cycle of creation and erasure. I thought perhaps someone with your rich experiences could offer me some insight." That took me by surprise. I never considered myself a source of wisdom for others. In my retirement, I found myself alone, a widow navigating the quiet days, often engaging in conversations with my beloved plants or exchanging pleasantries with the checkout girl at the market. Yet, there was an element in his voice, wavering yet genuine, that stirred emotions within me that had long been dormant. "Essential, all right," I said softly, leaning in closer. "Share with me the words you've crafted up to this point." He opened the notebook, turning the pages filled with strike-throughs and fragmented ideas. Fragments of his father's departure lingered, a sense of inadequacy shadowed his existence, and a deep-seated fear held him back from revealing his true emotions to anyone. I paid attention, truly paid attention. For a time, he simply spoke. The dialogue shifted from his lessons to revelations I never anticipated he would confide in me. How profoundly alone he had sensed himself since his high school days. He felt an unsettling sense of disconnection, as if he were adrift in a world where he didn't truly belong, not even among his friends. As he spoke, I realized I was observing him through a new lens. Not as the awkward teenager I once waved to from across the fence, but as someone gradually unveiling layers, embracing vulnerability. His voice remained unwavering, yet a subtle tremor coursed through his hands as he flipped the page. I instinctively reached out, allowing my hand to rest on his for just a fleeting moment. A soothing embrace. Perhaps even more. He gazed at me, his eyes brimming with a blend of gratitude and bewilderment. In that moment, I became acutely aware of the time that had passed since anyone had gazed at me in such a way, as if I possessed something within me that was truly valuable, something worth cherishing. More than a mere neighbor, more than an elderly woman skilled in the art of pie making or the keeper of birthdays. yet an individual. A spirit. The room fell into a hush, enveloped in a gentle stillness, a moment of stillness, where the intake of a single breath has the power to alter the course of everything. I retracted my hand with deliberate slowness, a smile spreading across my face as I shattered the stillness that enveloped us. "You're not as adrift as you believe," I remarked. "You simply have not yet revealed your truth." He nodded, a hard swallow catching in his throat. "Where should I start?" "You start," I declared, "right at this very spot, in this moment, embraced by truth." For the following hour, we immersed ourselves in the art of writing side by side. I shared with him tales from my history, some not so beautiful, yet all undeniably authentic. He absorbed every word, truly absorbing, and I could observe his confidence growing with each sentence he crafted. The assignment had transcended its initial purpose. It delved into a realm far more profound, a bond beginning to take shape. As he rose to depart, the sun began its descent, bathing the hardwood floor in a warm, golden glow. He glanced back at me as he stood by the door and said, "Thank you, Karen. Your understanding of the significance of this is beyond measure." And I sensed, in some inexplicable way, that this would not be the final occasion he graced my presence. Not merely for assistance with assignments, but for a matter that eluded our complete comprehension at that moment. Perhaps that was acceptable. For it is often the quiet moments that bring about the greatest transformations, devoid of any grand celebration. They arrive in silence. As the rain fell steadily, a knock echoed through the room, signaling Michael's arrival once more. A gentle, persistent rain, the sort that infused the air with the scent of soil and nostalgia. A cinnamon candle flickered softly in the living room, casting a warm glow as I folded a basket of laundry. Then, the knock came again, gentle and familiar, echoing the previous visit. Yet, this time, I was already aware of who it would be. I swung the door open, and there he stood, a hoodie drawn low over his brow, raindrops speckling his sleeves. He offered me a shy, sheepish smile. "I apologize for not reaching out beforehand." "It's fine," I said, stepping aside. "Your presence is always appreciated." He removed his shoes at the threshold and surveyed the surroundings, as though ensuring that nothing had shifted in his absence. For reasons unknown, an aura of tranquility enveloped the space in his presence. Perhaps it was the deliberate pace of his movements, each step imbued with contemplation, or the manner in which his gaze swept across the room, as if he were absorbing more than just the mere presence of furniture and walls. "I brought something," he said, as he unzipped his backpack. "I would like to present to you the essay." He presented me with a printed copy, its edges gently curled from the journey it had endured. As I settled onto the couch, I opened a book and immersed myself in its pages. The beauty was undeniable. He captured the essence of our inaugural dialogue, the chilled tea that accompanied us, the way I absorbed his words, the tales I unveiled. He even spoke of the light streaming through my kitchen window, describing how it enveloped him in a sensation that time had come to a standstill. Yet, what resonated with me the most was the sincerity in his expressions. He expressed the sensation of being truly acknowledged, genuinely acknowledged, after what felt like an eternity. As I lifted my gaze, I found him observing me intently. His expression was a complex tapestry, woven with threads of hope and worry. I remarked, my fingers lingering on the page, "You possess a voice, an authentic one. It holds significance." He let out a breath, his shoulders easing into a state of calm. Submitting it filled me with trepidation. I was uncertain whether it crossed the line into the realm of the personal. "It is indeed beneficial to embrace the personal," I remarked. "It is the essence that ignites passion in people's hearts." He nodded and took a seat beside me, drawing nearer than he had before. Not too near, yet near enough that I could sense the warmth of his shoulder through the gap that lay between us. The candle danced gently on the side table, its flame casting a warm glow in the dim light. The rain continued its steady descent, a cadence that enveloped the quietude between us, unbroken and profound. "I'm not entirely certain why," he murmured, "but I have this sense that I can share anything with you." That resonated profoundly within me. Explaining this phenomenon is no simple task, yet as one matures, there comes a moment when others cease to regard you as a confidant. You transform into the sagacious neighbor, the gentle elder, the figure who greets with a wave from the porch. Yet, Michael failed to perceive me in that manner. He beheld. "Is it me?" A lengthy silence ensued. I extended my hand and softly brushed against his wrist. "It brings me joy to hear that you feel this way. You are secure in this place." He inclined his head in acknowledgement. "Your trust in me is appreciated." His gaze held mine for a heartbeat longer than necessary, and in that fleeting instant, I sensed a change in the air, in a manner that is neither perilous nor unsuitable. Merely a silent understanding. A boundary we had yet to traverse. Perhaps it wasn't necessary, yet its presence was unmistakable. For the next hour, we delved into conversations about his father, a man who had been silent for months, and how he often felt like a specter haunting his own home. I revealed additional details about my husband, Gerald, how still our home grew in the wake of his departure. The remnants of habits now obsolete. The earthiness you adopt in relaxed attire, ensuring that curiosity remains at bay. He remarked, "You are unlike anyone I've ever encountered." I responded, "You're not either." Eventually, he reclined on the couch, and I allowed my head to sink into the cushion as well. We lingered in that moment, side by side, enveloped by the soothing sound of the rain. It exuded a sense of tranquility. There's no obligation to voice your thoughts, nor is there a requirement to clarify anything, only existence. Before he departed, he paused at the threshold and inquired, "Do you find it strange that we converse in this manner?" I gently shook my head. "I believe it to be quite uncommon." He offered a smile, but then paused, uncertainty flickering across his face. "May I visit once more? Perhaps simply to spend some time together, even if I don't require assistance with anything." "Certainly," I replied, "at your convenience." He lingered for a moment, as if he yearned to express something more, yet the words eluded him. He departed, the rain's melody consuming his footsteps as he faded into the shrouded twilight. I lingered at the door for an extended moment, contemplating the true nature of what was unfolding before me. In a world brimming with distractions and cacophony, could it be possible for two souls to discover something profound in the silent pauses that lie between them? The answer eluded me still. I was certain this was not the conclusion of the tale. Certainly not. The subsequent days fell into an unforeseen cadence. Michael would drop in every few afternoons, occasionally armed with a notebook, other times bringing only his serene presence that seemed to envelop the entire space. I accepted it without hesitation. Initially, not at all. It brought a sense of solace, akin to the unexpected joy of recognizing a beloved beat on the radio, a sound you didn't know you were longing for. On a Tuesday evening, as I busied myself in the kitchen preparing pot roast, the unmistakable knock echoed through the air. I took my time. I was not obliged to. As I swung the door open, he stood there, hands tucked into his pockets, hair tousled by the gentle breeze, and that familiar softness in his gaze that I had grown to know so well. He appeared older in recent days, exuding a newfound confidence, yet there lingered a trace of youthful doubt in the subtle slouch of his shoulders. "It smells delightful," he remarked as he crossed the threshold. "I apologize for intruding upon your meal." "You didn't," I said, a smile playing on my lips. "I ended up preparing more than necessary, after all." "Take a seat." "You will remain here." He remained silent. We settled into a comfortable cadence, with me at the stove, stirring, while he leaned against the counter, sharing thoughts about his class, his mother's work pressures, and his own doubts about the future. I listened intently, sharing my thoughts as best I could, though I made no claims to possess all the answers. The evening meal unfolded in a serene atmosphere, enveloped in warmth and a sense of ease. He praised my culinary skills, noting that it evoked memories of his grandmother's cooking from his childhood. I chuckled and advised him against showering me with compliments. I was acutely aware that the roast had crossed the line into overcooked territory. Once we completed our task, I brewed some tea, and we settled onto the couch. The hour had grown late, with the gentle murmur of crickets filtering in through the fractured window. The room was cloaked in shadows, the remnants of a candle from days past reduced to a mere stub, its fragrance faintly echoing in the air. We lingered in quietude for a time, savoring each sip with deliberation. Then he uttered, his voice barely above a whisper, "I find myself uncertain about the path I am meant to take. There are countless expectations placed upon me, yet I find myself questioning whether those desires truly resonate with my own." I shifted my gaze toward him. It is perfectly acceptable to be uncertain. Many individuals are merely putting on a facade, acting as if they truly care. His gaze met mine, penetrating and intense. "Your words have an uncanny ability to resonate perfectly every time." I offered a soft smile. "That's merely the passage of time, dear. One begins to understand that many inquiries lack tidy resolutions." He inclined his head, then moved in nearer. The faintest touch of his knee grazed against mine. My heart fluttered, not as it did in the days of youth and folly, but in a manner that served as a poignant reminder of my existence, my vitality, and my enduring capacity to experience something genuine. "I've never shared this with anyone," he murmured, his voice barely audible. "Yet, there are moments when I sense that I remain unseen, not for my true self, but merely for the expectations others hold." The sincerity in his voice struck me more profoundly than I had anticipated. I extended my hand and rested it atop his, devoid of romance or calculation, simply an act of humanity. "I perceive you, Michael," I murmured gently. He remained close. He remained steadfast. He inhaled with a calm and measured rhythm. Then an event unfolded, neither abrupt nor startling, simply a part of the natural order. He flipped his hand, intertwining his fingers with mine. Our gazes locked, and for an extended pause, silence enveloped us both. In that moment, there existed neither fear nor confusion, only a profound sense of presence. I might have chosen to withdraw. I likely ought to have, yet I refrained. In that moment, the distinction between right and wrong faded into insignificance. It transcended age and expectations, beyond the narratives spun by others. It revolved around comprehension, a connection between two individuals who had discovered something unforeseen in the quietude of one another's presence. He leaned closer, his forehead softly brushing against mine. "Karen," he murmured, "you envelop me in a sense of safety, as if I can finally draw in a breath once more." I shut my eyes, allowing the moment to envelop us like a gentle embrace. I expressed my gladness. "That is all I have ever desired to offer you." He lingered a bit longer that night. Our conversations dwindled significantly after that moment. The silence hung heavy, leaving no words to be spoken. The evening's sounds enveloped us, while the serene intimacy we shared resonated more profoundly than any words could express. As he rose to depart, his farewell lacked the warmth it once held. He gazed at me, his eyes radiating warmth, and softly uttered, "See you soon." And I was certain he would. For whatever this was, whatever form it was assuming, it was anything but transient. It was evolving into something neither of us had anticipated, yet both of us now held delicately, like a secret too tender to articulate just yet. It was a week before our paths crossed once more, not due to any alterations, but rather because existence tends to flow in subtle loops. I occupied my time with the small tasks, tending to the begonias, folding linens, and reorganizing the spice drawer as if it held significance. Yet, beneath the facade, I discovered myself revisiting that final evening, how his fingers intertwined with mine. The timbre of his voice as he uttered my name lingered in the air. It was more than merely the caress of the words. In those fleeting moments, I felt a vibrant pulse of existence, a profound sense of being seen and needed. As Friday approached its twilight, the late afternoon settled in. As I stood outside, shears in hand, meticulously shaping the hedge. The sound of footsteps drew my attention to the gate. I glanced upward, and there he stood, Michael, his hands tucked into his pockets, exuding a hint of uncertainty, yet still radiating that familiar warmth in his gaze. "I wasn't sure if you would want to see me," he remarked. I wiped my hands on my apron, a smile spreading across my face. "Indeed, I do. Step inside." We lingered on the back porch, the sun descending gracefully, stretching elongated shadows over the lawn. On that particular day, he appeared transformed, subdued, and contemplative. "I've been reflecting deeply," he said, "on the other night, on what we are." I nodded slowly, my fingers encircling a glass of water, droplets of condensation sliding down my skin. "It's perfectly fine," I murmured softly. "No need for explanations." "But I want to," he said swiftly. "I want this to be a subject we approach openly and honestly." He halted, his gaze drifting to his hands. "In your presence, I have rediscovered a sense of self that has eluded me for years. You refrain from making contact with me. You don't regard me as merely a bewildered child." "You're not a child anymore, Michael," I murmured softly. He raised his gaze. "And you're not merely a neighbor who assisted with homework. I notice you as well, and my feelings for you have grown significantly." A slight hitch caught in my breath. His words caught me off guard, delivered with an unexpected clarity. And yet, upon hearing it, I felt neither fear nor hesitation. A sense of tranquility enveloped me. "Michael, what we share is undeniably genuine. Yet, it is both fragile and intricate. Perhaps the world will never grasp it." "I don't care what the world thinks," he declared, his voice unwavering now. "In your presence, a serene tranquility envelopes me, grounding my spirit and soothing my mind. A sense of belonging envelopes me." Once more, silence enveloped the room, yet it carried a sense of ease rather than discomfort. It was reflective, anchored in reality. I extended my hand and softly grasped his, not with haste, not with ownership, but with a profound sense of respect and understanding. "I care about you as well," I replied. "What truly holds significance for me is your continuous growth, your journey towards becoming the person you are destined to be." He clasped my hand, his thumb gliding softly over mine. "I believe I am beginning to do so." That evening, we maintained our boundaries. It was unnecessary. We lingered side by side, watching the sky transform into hues of pink and gold, the gentle breeze wafting the fragrance of blooming jasmine, while the porch light began to flicker to life. We engaged in a conversation about his craft, reminisced over my past travel tales, and explored the peculiar, enchanting ways in which life intertwines individuals at the most unexpected moments. As the moment approached for him to depart, he rose with a deliberate slowness, a sense of hesitation lingering in the air. "I shall return," he declared. A smile graced my lips. "I am aware." He strolled along the garden path, glancing back briefly with a soft smile before fading into the dusk. I lingered in that moment, observing as the final rays of sunlight slipped away, swallowed by the embrace of the trees. For the first time in what felt like an eternity, solitude no longer weighed heavily on my heart. For what we had discovered, regardless of the label it bore, was undeniably genuine. Neither dramatic nor scandalous, simply human. It served as a poignant reminder that, even after many years of existence, fresh chapters can still unfold. The bond transcends age and defies expectation. It values presence, the art of listening, the courage to reveal oneself, and the bravery to truly see another. That is what Michael bestowed upon me. Not a spark, but a gentle flame that whispered to me of the depths still waiting to be explored.